The fog lights on a 5th generation 4Runner are terrible. Well, I was perusing eBay and I came across a listing that Vermont Sports Car was selling some PS600 series high-intensity discharge pod lights. So I decided to buy those and see if I could adapt them to the front end of my 4Runner. In this video, I'll show you guys how I adapted these lights to the front end of my 4Runner using tools that are available in most people's garages. So stay tuned.
So I made a little cardboard template of the opening, and I made sure that the template fit really good inside that, so you can see it fits up nicely. So then I took that cardboard template and taped it to a piece of aluminum and began to trace it out. So I used my portaband that I have set up on my bench vise to do the rough cutting on the outside, and that does a pretty good job. And when I got done with cutting it with a portaband, I switched over to use my jigsaw. So you need a good bit of oil and a fairly aggressive jigsaw blade to get this done, but it cuts through no problem. And when I got done with the jigsaw, I went over to a drum sander on my Dremel Moto tool to clean up the inside. And then for the outside, for most of the parts of the outside, I used my bench sander and cleaned those up. Once I got those done, I went over to drill the holes for mounting. So I have the holes all ready to go, and I did that ahead of time so I can mark the exact holes on the truck. Now what you're not seeing here is I have both of the plates stacked onto each other while I'm drilling the holes so that the holes are in the exact same place for both of the plates. So once I got done drilling those holes, for the PMT 61 mounting kit, I had to tap some holes, and that's why I used these 1/4 inch plates rather than a thinner aluminum. Now here you see I am drilling into the truck after placing the mount in place, and what I do is I drill in there and then with a small bit, then I go to a larger bit to clean it out, and then I use a nutsert and a nutsert installation tool and press those in there and squeeze them, and now I don't have to reach up behind it when I unthread these things. I won't have a nut fall down on the inside. Now be aware when you're using nutserts on plastic, they can pull through real easy, so you want to have nutserts with a really good large collar. So each one of these I would drill through, put a nutsert in, take it off, drill the bigger hole. So I did one at a time to make sure that I didn't have any of my holes messed up when this was all done. So it's a little bit of a tedious process, but that makes sure all of your holes are lined up perfectly. After that, I did a mock-up. You can see here I'm using some 6mm bolts to put it in place to make sure that everything fits perfectly before I do any of the painting. Then I do a few heavy coats of Harbor Freight truck bed liner on both sides of the plates. After the truck bed liner dries, I start to reassemble the whole thing with the stainless steel fasteners and stainless steel springs. So then it was back out to the truck to mount the HID ballasts, and I mounted them just inside the hole where the fog lights sit.
I'm not going to go much into the wiring on the fog lights on this rig because basically I used a standard Hella relay. Information's available everywhere with that. The only pain is getting through the firewall. So look, there's the cable that goes to the hood release. It goes through a grommet right here on the driver's side, okay? So all you need to do is take your wire, tape it to the tip of a screwdriver, and go up to the hole that that cable goes through and poke it through that grommet right there. There's a hole existing. You just have to chase right next to that cable that goes to your hood release, and you can pass your cable through the firewall without any issue. So to supply power to my switch, I put in a jumper on the fuse panel just in here under the kick panel, and you can see it right back there. Okay, so that's an auxiliary power source. And for the ground, there's a bolt back behind that fuse panel that goes into the wall, and I put that ground in right there. Now for the switch, I went to aironboard.com and picked up this nice push button switch. They have a lot of different styles on aironboard.com, and I'll put a link in the description. They have some really cool switches. You should check them out.
Okay, this is first test of the HID projectors, so let's see what it looks like.